Hi folks, so today we're going to go through that inequality starter first of all, and then we're going to do some trigonometry in the way that you would see it in GCSE style questions using some of those mathsgenie questions from the worksheet. We'll see how many we get through. I will give you a quest, ask you to upload your solution with full working for one particular question at the end. I'm not sure which one that is yet. It'll depend on how long it takes us to get through what we've got there. Alright then. Let's carry on. Right, so here's our puzzle from last time, and the first number I was able to put in was along here, because this one's bigger than that one, which is bigger than that one again, so that could go 2, 3, 4, but it can't be 4, it could go 2, 3, 5, except it can't be 5 because this number is also smaller than that one. So that means that this cannot be a 5, it cannot be a 4, therefore it must be a 3. So we've got 3, 2 and 1 there, which means we must have 5 in that row. Now this number here is smaller than that one, which is smaller than that one. So this must be 3 and 4. Because this is a 5 here, so it's got to be getting bigger as it goes. And if that's 3 and 4, then we must have a 1 here. It takes a bit more searching to find the next number, but eventually I know this cannot be a 1 because it's bigger than something. This is bigger than something, it cannot be a 1. This is smaller than, but it cannot be a 1. Because it is below, it's in this column here, and we've already got a 1 there. So this is smaller than something, so this is the only one that can be a 1. And then I can continue looking at 1s, because I know that this can't be a 1 because it's in that column, this can't be a 1, this can't be a 1, this can't be a 1 because it's bigger than other numbers, this must either be a 4 or a 5. So the only place in that row that a 1 could go would be there. So it's not about guessing, it's about looking for one which must go. We also have 4 numbers out of 5 there, so this has to be a 3. And the next one I can see is 5, because you can't have a 5 here in this column. Obviously you can't have a 5 there. You could have a 5 there. You can't have a 5 there because it's got to be smaller than 4. So that's got to be a 5. And if that has to be 5, this number here is bigger than a 2 or a 3, so it can only be a 4 or a 5, but it can't be a 5 because it's in that row, so that's a 4. Now we've got 4 out of 5 of this row, so there's only a 2 left that can go there. I know that 3 and 4 go either place there, not sure which one yet. Looking in this column, this one could be 1 or a 5. This can't be a 1. Because of that and because it's bigger than something, so this must be a 5 and that must be a 1. And then we know that this number here has got to be bigger than 3. Well, it can't be a 5, so it must be a 4. And if that is a 4, then do you remember over here it had to be a 3 or a 4? This can no longer be a 4, it must be a 3, which means 1 to 5 up here, that must be a 4. And now up here we've got a 3 and a 5. Well, this number is smaller than 4, so it can't be 5, so it must be 3. So this is called process of elimination that we're doing now. And then in this row and this column, we're just missing a 2, which is smaller than 5. And we have completed it. If you think I've made any mistakes, please let me know. So here's question 1. If you're able to print it off, then that's great. If not, you can just make a quick sketch of the triangle, it's fine. And then we need to say, right, I call this C and that little c, this one capital A, that little a, that one capital B, that little b. If you did it a different way, then that's fine. If you haven't paused it and had a go yet, do that now. So we need to remember that A over sine A is equal to B over sine B is equal to C over sine C. And we're just going to use one, we're going to knock out one of them, whichever's not relevant. So We don't know about angle A or side A, and we don't want to, so we forget about that and we do these. So B is 20 over sin B will be sin 35 is equal to, see, that is a 90-degree angle, isn't it, because it's right angles, so we write sin 90 there, and C is what we want to work out, which is being called x here. It doesn't matter whether you call it x or C at that point. Now I want to know what x is, not what x divided by sin 90 is, so I'm going to multiply by sin 90, and that means we write it as 20 sin 90 over sin 35. And that means we'd have one of the 2 marks that are going for this question for writing that down, and then to get the full marks we just need to do it as a, we're going to do everything to 1 decimal place today, by the way. Pop it into your calculator by making sure you're in degree mode, pressing the fraction button, 20 sin 90. Notice we've got a little bracket open there, so we need to close that bracket using that key there. And on the bottom it's sin 35, close brackets, is equal to 34.86. I'm going to write down 34.86 straight away and put a rounding box around it, and think I want to write 34.8, but because that's 6 that makes it closer to 0.9. And then I also need my units, so centimeters, in there. If you get either of those things wrong, you still only get 1 mark, annoyingly. Here's question 2. Pause the video and give it a go. So I want to know, I've got, if I call this C because it's the right angle, remember we always call that one C, and then we can go A and little a, capital B and little b. I haven't got anything to do, well, I've got those 2, so it's definitely B over sine B. And then I've also got this length, so I actually want it to be 11 over or A over sine A. And I do know what this angle is, even though it hasn't told me. Oh, I can work it out very easily because I know that's 90 degrees, and we all know that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So if we do 90 add 42, we get 132. Do 180 take 132. Use your calculator just to make absolutely sure, and it's 48. The quicker way to do it is to think these 2 angles with a right angle triangle are always going to add up to 90, aren't they? So you could just add up from 42 to 90. Anyway, that means it's a 48-degree angle, and we can now start to fill things in. So our B is called x. Sin 42 on the bottom, 11 on the top, sin 48 on the bottom. Multiply both sides by sin 48 gives you x sin 48 over sin 42. I've done that wrong, haven't I? I should have had times it by sin 42 because I want to get the x on its own. Sorry. So underneath that I'll have x on its own is equal to 11 sin 42 over sin 48. And I'll put that into my calculator, which remember I can do using scrolling back through just by going back on the cursor keys. I can go back there, I can delete the 35, put in 48, go up, delete that, put in 42, go back there, or just start it from scratch. And that gives us 9.90, which is 9.9 centimeters. Always remember the units. Question 3, pause the video, give it a go. Remember to start off with writing your sine rule stuff down. So I'm going to put a capital C there and a little c there, and then just work around calling that capital A, therefore that's capital B. The one opposite A is little a, opposite B is little b. And I know that that's a 90-degree angle, and it's the A that I don't know about, so that means I want we are looking for an angle, so I want I'm going to have to work out this angle first because I don't know that length there. Unless I use Pythagoras' theorem, should I do that? What's going to be least confusing? Okay, yeah, let's start off with Pythagoras' theorem, because what I want sin b over little b equals, remember when we're going for the angle, we put the sin bit on the top, equals sin c over little c. But if I fill those in, and I'm going to do that now, I realise that I don't know either of my angles. What should I do? No, let's carry on with this. Forget about what I said about Pythagoras. Over 24. So yeah, we have only got one thing that we don't know there. So now we multiply by 16, and it says 2 marks. I think there would be 3 marks for this because there's a bit more going on in it. 16 sin 90 over 24. And I don't know if you remember what we do to get rid of the sin. We need to look at the calculator if you're not sure. It's got a bit of a clue. Just above the sin it says sin minus 1. That's what we need to do. In fact, I'm going to rewrite it over here. Sin b equals 16 sin 90 over 24. And then we're going to do sin minus 1 to get rid of the sign in front of the b. So then all you have to do, don't worry too much about why this works at the moment, just keep on doing it as we go, and hopefully just getting used to the process comes often before the understanding of why in trigonometry. So we go shift sign, press the fraction button, and then we pop in 16 sin 90 over 24 and close the brackets and press equals. Whoa, what's that done? Why has that done that? Let me just check. So this is a useful error I've made here. If I just go back, notice here I was always telling you about closing the brackets. I haven't closed the bracket there. If I do that and press equals, it now gives me 41.81 degrees. Now, I haven't put that down as my final answer because that's that bit up there, isn't it? And we know that these two angles add up together to make 90, don't we? So if I do 90, take answer in my calculator, watch this, 90, take, there's a button at the bottom that says answer, that will use the last thing that it worked out in the calculator exactly, and that's giving me 48.18. So I write down those two decimal places and then put the box round to round up to 48.2 degrees. Right then, moving on to question 4. Pause the video, label up what you can, see how far you get, and then I'll talk it through slowly the way I think it through. Start by putting a capital C there and a little c there, then go capital A, capital B, little a opposite the A, and a little b opposite the B. And what have we got? We've got an angle again, so we are looking at sine B, because that's the angle I want, would be over B, is equal to, and what do we know here? Well, we know this length, and we know that, and we don't know that angle yet, do we? So if we write down all the things we can do, we know that sin C is 90, and that would be over C, which we don't know. I know that B there is 15, don't I? And I know that we're going to have sin of the angle A, which we don't know, over 11. So in each of these things there's something we don't know, and we want to have two of them where we do know. So in order to do that, we need to work out what this little c is using Pythagoras. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We've got 11 squared plus 15 squared equals c squared. And that means that c is going to be whatever you get when you do the square root of both of those. Now it's not going to be a very nice number. So what we're going to do is we're just going to work with that as our value instead for now. And the calculator can handle it, so don't worry. Now we're trying to work out x. Which one is x? X is actually the b there, isn't it? So maybe I should have put a little x in there. So that means that we're going to have sine x over 15 is equal to sine 90, and we now know the length of this is this strange one. I'm just going to put it in there like that and not worry about it. I'm then going to do what I was doing before, which is I have to multiply by 15 to say I've got sin x equals 15 sin 90 all over the square root of 11 squared plus 15 squared. And then I'm going to go from that to say therefore x is going to be sin negative 1 of all of that. You don't necessarily have to keep writing all of this out each time, but it is like good practice to do so. Make sure you definitely get all the working marks. I'm going to put that into the calculator now. So I'm doing that. I've remembered to close my 90-degree thing this time, and now I'm putting the square root sign in. 11 squared plus 15 squared. Now I've got to come out of there, so I hit that side bit a couple of times until I've got a big flashing cursor, close the brackets, press equals, and that's giving me 53.74 degrees so far. That is the one that I want, so I put the box around it and round it to 53.7 degrees. Now we move on to question 5, and this is as far as we're going to go today. It says calculate the length AB, so if we call that x, that's what you want to try to work out. Now they've already labelled these A, B and C. Now because we've been calling, see that we could rearrange that, but to be honest you're not really going to need to, but you are, before you do anything else, just as a little hint, going to need to work out what that angle is using what you know about angles in a triangle. So I would like you to have a really good think and a go at this question and upload your attempt at that to me, and we will go through this question in detail at the beginning of next lesson. And it would be really good this time if people could have a go at the question that's been set, because even if you get totally stuck, that means you'll be in a better place to make that movement forward next time and learn from this. Okay, alright, well I hope you all have a good day, and look forward to the fact that we're really on a countdown to when we're going to start seeing each other in school. Alright folks, cheerio!